welcome to all the men and women of the West. I'm Joe here from East Macalestan.
Hello and greetings.
And I know I said it'd be another 2 chapters, but apparently there's only 1 chapter left. So there's 4 chapters to this short story. It's quite good. At the start of this chapter, Cull compares court life with the sea. And I love a bit of that metaphor for what court life in a royal court or in politics in general amounts to. It's compared to being at sea. That is politics in a nutshell. Essentially, politics, no matter the form of government, democracy, monarchy, whatever, is a war with the sea. It could sweep you up, pull you out into the deep before you even can blink. Cull does not seem blind to this at all. He's very, word in French would be méfiant, but he's very careful with courtiers and whatnot. He doesn't seem to trust them. He's developed the skill of trying to look past their exterior to the deeper lusts, deceits, and gluttonies that lie within them. It's also mentioned in terms of lore, he's never actually known the love of a woman. Now, this does not mean that Cull is very virginal. He's obviously got a harem. It's mentioned later. It's just he doesn't love any of those women. And none of them love him.
It's just for physical need.
Yeah, which is very true to the ancient world's Saraglia, because that's generally how it worked. Cull is very tired by the beginning of the chapter because he spent the entire night sleeplessly slaughtering serpent men, all in a day's work, or a night's work. Brol is also tired, but he rushes to warn Cull that Conan has given him a sign that attack will come soon. So the priests move to encircle Cull, goes to leave the hall, so that it's rather reminiscent of Julius Caesar being surrounded by the various senators. I think I mentioned Hour of the Dragon livestream. Howard was a great fan of Shakespeare, and he loved the Julius Caesar play. I love it as well, but this play is one that seems to have fascinated Howard on a deep level. Here, he replays a bit of the scene, except where Cull triumphs over those priests rather than being triumphed over, as what happened with Caesar. He says the magic phrase, discovers that most are lizards, so him and Brol attack. Over the course of the battle, Cull is wounded many a times, and rejects the suggestion by Brol that he should see the women, who apparently are trained in healing arts, at least the ones, which makes sense, but Cull doesn't want to be taken there yet, and suggests that Brol should be the first to be healed. That said, they end up realizing that they are in the very hall where Epilogue was killed 1,000 years ago, hence why it became known as the Accursed Hall. They're led there by the Serpent Men. Epilogue was the king who died 1,000 years ago, whose ghosts we saw in the last few chapters, so we have a name now for that king. Cull, though, returns to the throne room, where he discovers himself on the throne. Dun dun dun! Yeah, he then proceeds to dash past the Red Slayers, who are very confused and don't know who to listen to, and he ends up running through the Serpent Man on his throne, after, of course, saying the magic phrase. Conan then arrives to basically tell everyone this is Cull, the greatest monarch in Volusian history. Then Cull loses consciousness, with Conan and a few others worrying about Cull, and Brol assures them he's going to be fine. You don't honestly think that a full score of wounds, which is about 20 wounds, could do Cull in, do you?
He's just a little tired.
Yeah, essentially.
'Tis but a flesh wound.
But before he passed out, Cull swore to annihilate.
As they should be.
And Brol vows to do the same alongside Cull. To follow him, serve. Now, at the start of this chapter, we had Cull realizing that him and Brol are now friends. And by the end of this chapter, we essentially have an indirect oath of brotherhood between the 2 men. It's very clear that by the end, they're basically sworn brothers, with the idea of blood brothers or sworn brothers being an ancient tradition. It was popular in Japan amongst the bushi, or the samurai. If you took on a sworn brother or a blood brother, you were as good as biological brothers. Same went for ancient China. In particular, Zhou Yu and Sun Tzu, and even Sun Xuan, were very notable. There's also the case of Liu Bei with the oath in the Peach Garden. The one captain, and Genji no Kimi in Genji Monogatari, who swear an oath of brotherhood of sorts, on top of brother-in-laws. That's in Asia. You have, in turn, in the West, Germanic tradition, which really pushed this idea forward. In the knightly orders, it was very popular, especially the Templars and the various knighthoods that the various monarchies of Europe liked to hold up. For example, the Knights of the Garter of England. All members were brothers. Here, Kull and Brull are no longer simply strangers or ordinary friends. We have to understand their bond in a medieval context. Heck, if you want a recent show which actually depicted sworn brothers, you have Titus Pullo and Lucius Vorenus in the Rome series.
I was just thinking about that one.
Well, they swear an oath partway through the first season that they are brothers, and so they are often compared to Castor and Pollux. And later they include Mascius, another Roman soldier, into their little brotherhood, so that the three of them act like siblings, and they actually call each other my brother or brother. They aren't simply saying this because they're in the same unit or cohort of Rome. They are genuinely siblings now. Now, in Roman tradition, often they would marry their kids with each other to cement the oath so that they share grandchildren. For example, Kull might try to cement his bond with Brull by marrying maybe a sister of Brull or something, or Brull would marry an adoptive sister of sorts of Kull that Kull would suddenly adopt. And I know we're harping quite a long time about these sworn oaths, but oaths are very powerful factors in old and mythology and old and medieval literature. So don't underestimate the power of the oath that Kull and Brull have sworn. The thing is, although weirdly their oath seems to have taken initially the shape of, should one of them almost fall to the serpent men, they will agree to kill each other rather than let themselves become enslaved in the afterlife by the serpent men. They hold this oath very tenderly to close to their hearts in a tender manner. This idea of brotherhood and the bromance of Brull and Kull is coming in a long tradition of male literature. Almost 3,000 to 4,000 years of literary history, because the Epic of Gilgamesh, the first real poetic epic, has an oath of brotherhood. Two sworn brothers agreeing to, bond together. Anything else you want to add?
You'd be better off having a medieval divorce of your wife than breaking such an oath.
Tell us what you think of this video, and don't forget to smash that like and that subscribe button as though you were Crom casting down one of his dooms upon it.